You probably believe that changing your reality requires months, strong, or maybe years, of visualizations, effort, and healing. It seems to you that breakthroughs are something you must earn by suffering long enough. That alignment only happens after you have fulfilled all the spiritual prescriptions and mastered all the techniques. But what if I told you that the shift itself, the real quantum leap, happens in one single moment that most people don't even notice? There is a hidden pattern, invisible to the untrained eye, that appears just before someone's life is transformed. It doesn't happen when the person works harder, nor when they try more. It happens when something inside them stops. The forcing stops, the doubting stops, the chasing stops. This is the moment when the field itself responds. In this video, we will reveal the precise frequency that activates the quantum shift and explain why. Simplicity is the only thing your ego cannot handle. You will learn about the energetic skills that are more important than any strategy, about the signs show that you are on the verge of a leap between timelines, and why a breakdown is not a defeat, but an initiation. But let's start with something you may have felt but never named: the mind resistance to ease. That very moment when events begin to flow and you become scared. This is the moment when you have a deep inner knowing and your mind demands proof. You have felt it, the tension between the clarity of your soul and the survival pattern of your ego. We live in a world addicted to struggle. Effort is exalted. Complexity is revered. If something seems too simple, it must be wrong. If it comes too easily, it must be undeserved. But the quantum field does not respond to how hard you work. It responds to how clear you are, to the purity of your frequency. And clarity can almost always be found in simplicity. The problem is, simplicity threatens the false self. Because if everything is simple, what was all the struggle for? If everything is simple, what does that mean for the identity you built around trying, fixing, proving? Simplicity eliminates the drama. And when there is no drama, there is nothing left to hide behind. This is why most people unconsciously sabotage on their own shifts, not because they are broken, but because they are afraid of how quiet the truth actually is. They wait for lightning, and they get stillness. They want fireworks, and the field gives them silence. But it is in this silence that the shift resides. The quantum field always reflects. It does not wait for your next affirmation. It vibrates your current identity. And the moment you drop the need to force and simply become, the feedback loop changes. You stop waiting for the external to confirm the internal. You stop tuning your frequency to your circumstances. Instead, you begin to hold your tone, no matter what. This is the difference between manifestation occurs and a shifting. Manifestation often implies creating something from lack. Shifting is becoming the version of you that already exists in another now. And the only thing separating you from that timeline is your frequency filter. Not time, not effort, just energy. So let me ask you, what if your shift is not complicated, but merely unfamiliar? What if you've been trying to thinking your way into a new timeline instead of feeling your way into it? And what if the real block is not your environment, but your attachment to complexity? In the next part of this video, we will discuss why most people cannot stabilize their signal, and why your blind spots here may be creating static that the field cannot interpret. You will discover the hidden ways you resist resonance, and how to start broadcasting from a place the universe can finally hear. Let's continue, because this simplicity is your portal. And once you feel it, everything changes. If the quantum shift is so simple, why do so few people experience it? Why does it feel like some invisible wall keeps you looping through the same emotional patterns, even when you know better? Why does your effort plateau when you think you are close? It is because simplicity requires something far more demanding than effort. It requires awareness. And awareness without the safety net of complexity can feel terrifying. When things are complicated, you can blame the tools, the method, the process. When things are simple, there is nowhere to hide. The spotlight turns inward, and you are left with one question: am I truly ready to shift? Let's start with what prevents most people from holding the right frequency. Blind spots. These are not flaws. They are patterns you are too close to see. They are emotional reflexes you have normalized. They are narratives you have repeated so often they now feel true. But here's the thing. The quantum field does not respond to what you want consciously. It responds to who you are unconsciously. So while your mind visualizes abundance, your frequency may still be coded in deficit. Not because you aren't trying, but because you have never questioned your default signal. Take a minute to feel into this. What are you broadcasting when no one is watching? What is the emotional climate of your internal world when you are not doing the work? This is your true frequency. This is what the field picks up. This is where the first skill of true mastery emerges. Self-awareness. And I'm not just talking about journaling or daily reflection. I'm talking about developing the kind of awareness that observes your thoughts as they happen, without judgment, without correction. The kind of awareness that recognizes when you are reacting from survival mode and chooses not to collapse into it. The next shift is even more challenging. It is radical responsibility. This is where your frequency begins to purify. It is not about blaming yourself for everything. It is about owning everything you are emitting, especially the parts you would rather disown. When you move from, "Why is this happening to me?" to, "What is this showing me about my resonance?" the field begins to reflect you differently. Victimhood is loud but incoherent. Ownership is quiet but magnetic. And then comes the skill that amplifies everything: maintained states. These are the vibrational anchors you return to, no matter what life throws at you. Most people wait for life to confirm their state, but quantum shifters hold their frequency until life is forced to reflect it. Holding your state means matching your frequency, even when it's uncomfortable, even when the evidence says you are crazy, even when you feel like nothing is moving. And finally, the most paradoxical skill: detachment from perception. We are taught to judge everything. This is good, this is bad, this means I'm close, this means I have failed. But what if your low moment is actually the final phase before the shift? What if what feels like a collapse is simply your old frequency imploding in on itself? Detachment doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you don't label. You allow the experience to move through you without giving it a verdict, because the quantum field is not linear. The darkest moment can be exactly the calibration that is needed for the light to land. You are not just learning to think differently, you are learning to hold your vibration as if it is the only truth. And this takes courage. It is easier to be distracted by methods and mantras. It is harder to sit in the silence and admit, I was looping because I am still filtering life through old stories. The quantum shift is not complex, but it is surgically precise. It cuts through the illusion. It exposes the parts of you that still need chaos to feel alive and asks, will you let those parts finally rest? In the next part, we will dive deep into the moment immediately preceding the shift. It's a strange, energetic tension that builds up as your old identity begins to crumble and your new timeline is already within reach. Most people misinterpret this as failure, but if you know what to look for, you will understand that this is the threshold of your breakthrough. Pay attention, because what follows is where the old timeline ends and your true frequency begins. There is a moment, subtle, disorienting, and often misunderstood, It almost always occurs immediately before a true quantum shift. It is the moment when the old timeline begins to loosen its grip, but the new one has not yet anchored. You feel suspended, as if standing in a hallway between two realities. The past no longer fits you, the future is unclear, and everything inside you screams to do something. While in reality, you are right, on the edge. This space is sacred, but it doesn't feel like it. It often manifests as confusion, fatigue, misalignment, and even despair. You may feel like you are failing, that the path you were so sure of has suddenly disappeared, that your vision is crumbling instead of manifesting. And if you don't know what is happening, you will misinterpret it as a sign to turn back, to shrink, to try harder, or worst of all, to doubt yourself. But here is the truth. This is not a collapse. This is a calibration. Before any quantum leap, your field must release its current pattern of coherence. Think of it like detuning from one radio station before tuning into another. There is static interference in between. This static feels like disorientation, like emotional noise, like the urge to flee, but it is not a warning. It is a threshold. The old frequency cannot hold your next chapter. That is why it feels like everything is falling apart. What is actually happening is this. The energy that held your old identity is being dismantled. The beliefs, habits, and energetic loops that defined who you are losing their charge. And without that charge, your ego has nothing to grasp. So it panics. It creates fear, doubt, anxiety. This is not a mistake. This is the ego trying to drag you back into the loop. It is, at this point, immediately before the shift, that most people give up. Not because the field says no, but because they interpret the friction as failure, rather than the friction of transformation. The truth is, if it feels shaky, you are close. If everything feels uncertain, you are almost there. Because what you are actually experiencing is your frequency, shedding everything that no longer matches. That is why the skill of dhyan detachment is so vital. If you judge this transitional space too early, you will assign it a meaning that pulls you back. You will call it wrong. You will call it stagnation. You will claim it is proof that nothing works. And the moment you do that, you instabilize the old pattern again. But if you can remain centered, not in effort, but in awareness, something begins to change beneath the surface. The chaos softens. The boundaries dissolve. You start to unfeel, rather than force your way forward. This is when you become magnetic. Not because you are trying, but because you have stopped losing energy in the form of resistance. Immediately before the shift, your nervous system is learning to hold more power. And this power does not come from intensity, it comes from coherence. When you choose to remain present in the uncertainty, without labeling it, your field organizes around your stillness. This is the moment when the quantum field responds. So what can you do in this space? Nothing in the traditional sense. This is not a time for fixing, scrambling, or pressuring. This is a time for untuning. Breathe into the discomfort. Observe the stories. Soften the attachment to deadlines. Your job is not to force a new reality. Your job is to become available to it. This is the true shift. Not control over the outcome, but surrender to the vibration that already contains it. Now we will break down exactly how the field reads your signal, and why what you think you are emitting may not be what the field is actually receiving. We will also explore how to purify your resonance, so you can match the life that already waits in the quantum field. You don't need to strain harder. You just need to hold your signal, even when nothing makes sense, especially then. That is when the portal opens. That is when reality bends, And that is when your shift becomes inevitable. Let's talk about signals. You have probably heard that the quantum field responds to frequency, not words. But here is what most people don't realize. Your energy is always broadcasting, whether you want it to or not. And what you are broadcasting is not your intention, it is your embodiment. You can say you are ready. You can write affirmations, meditate, even visualize every detail of your dream timeline. But if underneath all that your signal is riddled with doubt, urgency, fear, or trying to impress, that is the true message the field receives. And the field does not respond to language. It reflects resonance. So what does this actually mean? It means your inner world is your only strategy. Your nervous system is the instrument that tunes your life. And coherence, that deep, unwavering alignment between thought, emotion, and state, is the key signature the quantum field listens to. Coherence does not require perfection. It requires presence. Think of tuning a radio. If you are even slightly off the wave, all you hear is static. You might hear a word here, a melody there, but it is fragmented, distorted. The same is true for your field. When your frequency is filled with contradiction, desiring but disbelieving, asking but not receiving, speaking but not feeling, your signal comes across as unclear, incoherent. And incoherence gets one right response from the field: delay. This is why the quantum shift is not about doing more. It is about signal purification. And purification does not mean censoring your feelings. It means aligning them. It means full ownership of your energy. So there is no split between your intention and your embodiment. But here is the catch. Most people try to force coherence. They try to think their way into a feeling. They analyze their vibration, overprocess their blocks, micromanage their internal state like a project. But coherence does not come from control. It comes from a surrender. You cannot fake resonance. You cannot intellectualize your way into magnetic alignment. You unfeels your way there by softening into the truth of who you already are. So what creates this level of resonance? Clarity, stillness, honesty. Choosing to embody what you want before it manifests. Not in a show, not in delusion, but in quiet certainty. This is the energetic signal the quantum field responds to. I already am, I already hold, I already resonate. Not because it is here, but because it is cornered true. And this is where your field begins to shift. Not from effort, not from striving, but from alignment. When your nervous system begins to trust your frequency, it stabilizes. And when your signal stabilizes, your external reality can finally organize around it. So, here is the moment of truth. Type in the comments. I am the shift. Let this phrase be your anchor, not as a declaration to the universe, but as an acknowledgement of what already exists inside you. Speak it not to convince, but to confirm. Because when you speak from embodiment, the field listens. And when the field listens, reality moves. Now let's decipher the exact mechanics of how the field reflects you, how your attention acts as a selector, how coherence becomes a command, and why effort is the least effective way to generate change. Here is what you will see. You don't shift reality. You can't shift into the version of you that already lives there. And this shift begins now. Now that you have felt the truth of coherence and the power of resonance, it is time to explore how the quantum field actually responds. Because if you have ever wondered why some intentions seem to manifest instantly while others float endlessly in possibility, the answer is this. The field does not reward desire. It reflects your dominant vibration. And that vibration is dictated by one thing: where your attention consistently resides. Let's break this down. The quantum field is infinite. Every version of you already exists within it. Every potential outcome is already encoded, waiting not to be created, but to be observed. The observer effect in quantum mechanics tells us that particles do not form into matter until they are measured, focused upon, collapsed from a wave into form. Which means your attention is not just passive, it is constructive. It chooses which version of reality steps forward. This is why the quantum shift is not about controlling outcomes. It is about unselecting them, with your focus and stabilizing your organot in that selection with your state. Most people do not realize their attention is fragmented. They think about abundance in the morning, worry about lack in the afternoon, and fall asleep in a fog of doubt. This is not consistency. It is a chaotic broadcast. The field does not punish this chaos. It simply reflects it. That is why results feel jumbled, delayed, unclear. But when your attention becomes a laser, when you learn to hold your vision, without chasing it, needing it, or doubting it, something extraordinary happens. The potential timeline begins to organize around you. People, resources, moments, and even micro-decisions align, not by effort, but by entrainment, by resonance. You are not forcing reality to change. You are collapsing into the version of reality that already vibrates at your frequency. But here is the nuance almost no one talks about. You shift not by thought alone. You shift by identity. Your thoughts can desire the shift, but your unsubconscious identity, the deep, often unspoken emotional signature you operate from, may still be tuned to the old pattern. And if it is, the field will reflect the identity, not the thought. This is where the inner work becomes sacred. Not as a to-do list, but as a return. Every time you return yourself to coherence, not from fixing, but from remembering, you strengthen the new identity, not the identity you are trying to become, but the one that already exists within you, waiting for permission to lead. So ask yourself, who are you being right now? Not in the attempt to impress, not in the effort, but in the tone, in the truth, in the stillness. Because this version of you, the one that already lives the life you are visualizing, is not waiting. It is a dust available. And you access it not by achieving, but by receiving. In our final chapter, we will crystallize this journey. You will learn how to fully integrate the quantum shift as a natural process. Not something you do, but something you live. We will also decipher the final key to stabilizing your new timeline. So it doesn't just appear temporarily, but becomes your new normal. Pay attention. The shift is not ahead of you. It is already happening. Let's summarize everything. You now understand that the quantum field does not respond to effort. It responds to coherence. It doesn't care what you say you want. It reflects who you are consistently. And the shift, it's not out there. It's inside. It is simpler than anyone dares to believe. So simple, in fact, that the ego often misses it, dismisses it, or tries to complicate it. But here is what those who truly shift know. Those who live the new timelines. Simplicity is not a trap. It is the truth. And the reason why so few people stabilize into their new reality is not because they are doing anything wrong. It is because they do not remain long enough in the signal that allows it to become real. So, let's be blunt. You quantum shift, not by doing more. You shift by aligning cleaner, calmer, truer. You shift when you stop running after the version of you that already exists and start being her. This doesn't mean you pretend. It doesn't mean you force joy when you feel grief. It means you hold the space for the full spectrum of experience without collapsing your identity out in the process. This is emotional mastery. This is energetic maturity. This is what the quantum field reacts to. You are not here to chase the shift. You are here to embody the one who shifts easily. And once you realize this, life stops being a chase and becomes a mirror. This is when you move through reality differently. Your energy enters the room before you do. You speak less, but are heard more. You ask for less and receive more. Not because you are manipulating the field, but because you are the field in harmony with yourself. This is why the masters of manifestation do not teach methods. They transmit states. They help you feel into something ancient already alive within you. They do not add, they uncover. And so, this is your invitation to remember who you already are. Right now, in this moment. The timeline exists, the one where you are clear, calm, magnetic, confident, aligned. Not because everything around you is perfect, but because you are no longer outsourcing your frequency to your circumstances. Let this be the shift that stabilizes. Let this be the signal you return to over and over again, not to impress, but to belong. And if you have made it this far, you already know this is not just a video, it is a transmission. And something in you, something subtle but unmistakable, has already begun to rearrange itself. If you felt this, if it resonated, if something clicked, subscribe now. Not just for the next video, but for the next version of yourself. This is not just a channel, it is a frequency, and every subscriber is a signal to the field. I remember who I am. Welcome back. You were always on board the shift, and now the field knows it too.